Welcome to Fear and Greed Sunday feature. I'm Michael Thompson and happy Easter. It's a good one for you today. Right out of the Fear and Greed vault, Fred Schebesta is an entrepreneur who happily describes himself as a bit eccentric, but he's certainly been successful. The founder of comparison site finder.com.au. He's made a fortune by helping other people make informed decisions about everything from credit cards to mobile phones. He is a fascinating person, and this is a great interview by Sean Aylmer from back in June of 2021. I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. If you've ever searched online for information about credit cards or home loans or insurance or mobile phone plans, then chances are you've ended up on Finder. Founded in 2006, it's a comparison site that aims to help people make better decisions. But the story behind Finder is a fascinating one, started by two schoolmates who both ended up on the AFA Young Rich list by growing the business to run websites in dozens of countries, employing hundreds of people. Fred Schebesta is one of those founders. He's an entrepreneur, a blogger, a writer, and a passionate advocate of other startups. Fred, welcome to Fear and Greed.
How you guys going? You guys got a sick name for a podcast.
Fear and Greed, you reckon?
Yeah, it's like one of those risky ideas. It's like you guys were sitting around and then you're like, how about Fear and Greed? And someone was like, man, that's pretty out there. And you were like, yeah, let's just go for it. And that's what you guys did.
Yeah, in fact, from this moment, that's exactly the story we're coming up with. The reality is that two things drive share markets, fear and greed.
It's true.
But I'm going to go with yours, Fred.
Okay.
So tell me, Finder, where'd it come from? Give me a thumbnail sketch.
Well, it's really, I think it started as an experiment, like all great businesses. And the experiment was, in the beginning, can we put something compelling together in order to attract people so that we can, help them make a comparison on their credit cards. And I think if I was to make it even more raw, the actual idea, the experiment before that was, hey, let's put something together in order to rank number one in Google for credit card. It was obviously a bit more of a raw idea. And then from that genesis of an idea is you need to figure out what are you going to put on there and, what value are you going to provide to people. I think that's really where it started. And then, that idea, performed quite well and really just like, I'd say a wandering, crafting creationist that we tend to be. We've been innovating and creating things to extend upon that and doing that for a long period of time. And I have this thesis that if any business, I'm quite an investor as well. I love to invest, takes a domain space and really a single-minded focus and focuses on it for a long, long period of time. I think it's quite fascinating as to where that goes. And in this case, we focused on comparing things and helping people save money. And now we've really evolved that to helping people make money. So investing through, the stock market, cryptocurrencies and things like that as well.
So, I've used Finder many, many years ago on credit cards, exactly that. And, you're not an overnight success, as you're pointing out, because you've been going for a long while, but you have evolved. So tell us exactly what I can do with Finder now. So we start with credit cards. What are those products? And then just explain the investing bit a bit more.
Yeah, sure. Right now, there are different experiences you can have, and it depends on how keen you are to really get into your credit card. You can read, obviously, articles and guides about collecting points. A lot of people have, a debt they want to balance transfer. And right now, what you can do is connect up your credit score. We give you a free credit score in Australia and the UK right now. And from that, you can actually use that to, what we do is we have a machine learning algorithm that's actually worked out your chance of being approved for a credit card before you apply. So you can just download the app. We can tell you, obviously, the best deals. And then we can tell you which ones you're probably going to get approved for. And then you can go on to apply for that card. And, I think that's really a key genesis of the business. In terms of investing, we write about all sorts of different cryptocurrencies. We write about all sorts of stocks. And obviously, if you want to get yield, which is kind of hard right now, in terms of interest and things like that. We actually have a really innovative product actually we're working on around that as well, and more to come from there. But yeah, you can compare where to go and, purchase those products and services, and you can read and get, a lot of education around those topics on Finder. And then, we're continuing to build more and more products around it.
Okay, but of course you still also do the insurance products and travel products and internet, mobile, gas and electricity plans, all those sorts of things. So you're very broad now.
Yeah, there's 1,000 different comparisons on Finder. You can actually compare how to go to space.
Wow.
There are 8 providers, and just a hot tip: if you go for the Russian one, it's actually free to go, but they charge you to come back home.
Right. Is that how they do it?
It is possible to go to space like that. And
Wow.
I think Jeff Bezos is quite into it right now. And I think he was actually one of the first private spacemen actually quite a long time ago, but not of recent.
Yeah. I think only in the last couple of weeks he's come out and said he's going to be in one of those first manned flights to space. So he's putting his body on the line, or body where his money is, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
With his brother. And I love the actual hero is the pilot. He's got quite a liability.
He does, doesn't he? More than most. If you've got Jeff Bezos, it's about like having the USA president or something like that. You'd want to be a pretty good pilot if you're flying him around.
Particularly the first space pilot.
Yeah, I think so. So tell me, how does Finder make money?
Well, at its core, our customers come onto Finder and they want to learn about or find products and services that solve their problem. And from there, they click to the providers, potentially, that they're looking to work with, and we get a small referral fee from those providers.
Okay.
That's one way. And then the other way is we provide a whole series of apps where we actually provide the service to the customer. So in the Finder app, you can actually buy and sell Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. It takes about 3 minutes to buy, deposit, and actually purchase, which is super fast. And that's obviously from our experience and expertise in cryptocurrency. And we're going to build more and more products and services around that. But essentially, we basically get paid a commission, and it's in all different shapes and forms and sizes around the world.
Okay. Now, you started in Australia, but you've certainly pushed internationally. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. 2016, we launched the US office in Manhattan, actually in Chinatown, where they sell fish on the street. East Broadway was our first office. We're on 32nd Street now. We launched in January 2017 in London. We've obviously moved in different offices over time. We're now currently in London Bridge, just near Borough Market there, in between the Borough Market and the Shard. We have a big office in Poland, in Wrocław, an office in Manila, in Makati City, an office in Toronto, and I think there's sort of an unclaimed but slightly evolving office in Adelaide right now.
Right.
So we'll see where that goes.
So is that where you will get your growth? Mostly it will be overseas, do you think, going forward?
I think, the Australian business is growing well. Definitely the overseas businesses are growing well as well. They're both very high growth businesses. So yeah, they'll both perform well. I think the sheer target audience, the sheer TAM in overseas markets, it means I think over the long term will be where all the growth will come from.
TAM being total addressable market, of course.
Oh, yes. Yes, sorry.
No, I mean, how do you work with Google? I know you've had a run-in with Google. It was about 10 years ago, I think, which I think you've said before was a bit of a turning point for your business.
Yeah. It's one of those relationships where you got to honor like Google. And we've done that over many, many years, and we get different results, and obviously Google results change all the time. Yeah, and one time we pushed it too far, actually a few times, and they penalized us, which means we lost about 80% of our traffic overnight, and we lost it for about 3 months.
Wow.
Which was not pleasant at all. And then we recovered that. We paid off our Google debt. You don't go to jail. There's nothing illegal. It's just one of those things where you contravene their requirements. But, over the long haul, I think Google's a great partner of ours. Yep. And I'm very grateful for what they've given us, and we continue to serve them. And I think we're, a great contributor to their search engine results and what sort of is in them. Obviously, they fill their search engine results with our rankings, and we deliver for their customers the intents in which they serve up.
Yeah. Stay with me, Fred. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Fred Schebesta, entrepreneur and co-founder of Finder. So what are the products that are most popular on Finder.com? What are people doing on that site mostly?
Well, it changes continuously, right? So when the pandemic first broke out, as an example, face masks, toilet paper, and hand sanitizer were the most popular things, which was wild.
Yeah. Are people comparing toilet paper?
Well, where to buy it, they are, because it was not, no one could get any of it.
Yeah,
which is really bizarre. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What's popular right now? I think stocks are popular. Cryptocurrencies are popular. I think it depends on which country, right? So mortgages are popular. I'd say around the world, particularly in the US and Australia. Stock trading accounts, because people are investing into their own hands these days and moving money away from fund managers. And actually, there's a lot of research around that. And this is not my research, but ETFs performing as good, if not better, than active fund managers in the majority sense. But, there are obviously great fund managers as well that outperform ETFs and the market. So a lot of people are transitioning to their own investing. Broadband has been really popular because people are really angry with their broadband right now in Australia, particularly because they're working from home. I think digital banking accounts in the UK are very popular with all the new neobanks coming up. There was a big phase just before about online mattresses in the US. We called them mattress war, which was kind of wild and weird, but sort of played out eventually. I think health insurance is quite popular right now in the US. Obviously, they've still got a very big pandemic going on, and there's still people are concerned about their health. And I think there will be for quite some period of time.
Okay. So tell me about Finder Ventures. It's the innovation arm of Finder.com, and it's about building new businesses and investing in. Tell all the listeners a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's really the business that innovated the Finder app. It's our newest innovation, and I think it just helps people save money and make money, which is really cool. It's really the innovation. Let's talk about innovation for a second, right? So there are two forms of innovation, I believe. One is incremental innovation, where each year you slightly improve the product you're doing, and we do a lot of innovation in that sense. On the second hand, there is what I call is a little bit of a more challenging innovation, is where you take giant leaps forward or you create brand new products. And I think Amazon really is a factory of this. Sony's a great company. I admire Sony so much for their innovation. There are a lot of car manufacturers right now innovating as well. There are a series of companies that are great at taking giant leaps forward into the unknown, into the ambiguous, into the area where it is not clear, whether you cannot make a plan, you could only make experiments. And many companies struggle with this, and a lot of companies do really well. And Finder as an organization, we really drive our innovation out of Finder Ventures in those giant leaps forward. And you can see that from the products that we're making.
Okay. I want to head towards open banking. And the idea with open banking really is that data or the information about people can be transferred between different financial institutions much easier. That's in a practical sense. That's kind of, if I want to change my home loan, it's actually much easier under open banking, and hopefully there's more competition. What sort of opportunities, given that your background, you began certainly in financial services, will that whole open banking regime make a difference, do you think?
Definitely. I think open banking is the gateway and key to customers being empowered to actually make incredibly better decisions about their life and their financial circumstances. And I think what's interesting is, let's zoom out for a second. Financial institutions have had open banking for 100 years. They already see all the transactions and data. So what we've got now, what's the difference? Well, now you've got third parties who do not have vested interest in one particular brand, with the ability to actually serve first and foremost the customer and give them the best deal and best advice on a particular way forward. And that's the revolution. That's the big change. Previously, open banking to me and data has already been available to the first fintechs, I think, in the world were the big banks. Yeah. They were the first fintechs. Because they took us from paper and pencil and those little books, those paper books, to apps on our phone, digital share trading, all those kind of things, and that's incredible. And now what you've got is a moment in time when, if you look at the financial advice whole sector is being melted right now in Australia with just an exodus of people leaving. And that's because of a major, Royal Commission into advice. And what you've got is fintechs filling that void where, say, if you're under $500,000 in assets, you're not a worthwhile customer to a financial advisor. And so there's this huge void of financial advice. And what I think is now possible, which is non-vested interest third parties able to take your data, crunch that data, and actually give you the insights from your transaction data based on algorithms and classic means of machine learning, and give you a really, 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 really good set of decisions and outcomes in your personal financial life. And what's challenging for me is that, to me, was very possible and has always been possible and still continues to be possible with the existing organizations that are out there that have this data. It's just that they don't have a vested interest in switching you and showing you what the actual best approach is.
And Finder can play a role in that, in terms of helping people make those better decisions, and especially the people with the assets of under $500,000.
Yeah, we've been helping people save money for over 11 years now. And I think we can fill that void. We can provide the tools that people need in order to, access their data and then apply learnings and apply insights to that data to get themselves into a better financial situation. And not only do we want to do that through saving people money, but we actually want to help people make money through their investments as well.
Fred, you're releasing a book, Go Live, 10 Principles to Launch a Global Empire. When's that come out and what are the principles? Can you give us a taste of the principles?
Yeah, so I say this, it's one of the 3rd values of Finder called Go Live. It's really about inspiring people to launch and get things done in their life. And I feel that's something I'm quite good at. And this is really, it's not a step-by-step guide. It's not a series of rules because I'm actually a bit of a rule breaker myself. It's really the eternal principles that I think about and use in order to drive the outcomes of putting things and launching things. And I think it's largely about the stories that I've experienced throughout, and lessons I've learned. And it's really telling the hard times, the good times that I've put down on some paper for the first time. There's 10 of them in there. Obviously there are more principles I have as well, but they are the 10 real principles that will help you go live and launch something, particularly, a tech business or a new startup or even a business inside a bigger business. It's really that drive and that innovation and that mindset that you need in order to make it happen.
Okay, so that's Go Live, 10 Principles to Launch a Global Empire. When will we see it?
So you can pre-order it right now on Booktopia today and Amazon, and it's coming out at the end of July. So you'll get your copies then.
Fantastic. Fred, thanks for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thanks so much.
That was Fred Schebesta, entrepreneur and co-founder of Finder. This is the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Join me every morning for the full Fear and Greed podcast with all the business news you need to know. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.